we have an opportunity to hear from a lot of people, and we're going to get started. I see someone that's going to talk to us about her mouth. I'd like to invite Lynn Hunter to come up and give a few words.
Hello, everyone. I know it's noisy in here. We're having conversation and food and things, but I would like to take a few minutes of your time. Good afternoon and peace to you in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ. My name is Lynn Hunter, and we are here to celebrate the life of Dr. Rex Tibbins Baggett. Dr. Rex, as we know him, was my friend, my medical associate, and my brother in Christ. A man who gave his heart to his God and lived that life to his service. Dr. Baggett served. He served his Lord, his country, his family, his friends, his many patients, his medical associates, and his community. He was one of those princes among men who don't think of themselves and serve mankind. Not only did he serve, but he served with kindness, honor, integrity, ethics, respect, empathy, sympathy, and never considered compassion a finite resource. This congregation well remembers his facilitating the heart surgery for Tesfaye from Ethiopia. Dr. Rex lived the golden rule. And although he received many honors from the community and the state and the university for his selfless contributions, it was vital to him to teach the next generation of physicians. There are many physicians in this country that are grateful for the impact of his teaching and mentorship. Dr. Rex was passionate about his role in medicine. After his many years in practice, he served the less fortunate at the Ross Medical Clinic unselfishly for almost 20 years. And there he established, as you heard previously, an innovative program for the medical students to participate in an educational rotation. Medicine was his calling, his gift, and it gave him much satisfaction. He was a preceptor at the Ross Clinic and the Student Outreach Clinic at the University of Nevada, Reno, where he invested in the next generation of physicians to mentor, encourage, train, support, and inspire them, and in return, they appreciated his caring. The majority of the students often remarked about how they respected him, how patient he was with them, and how patient he was with them as he imparted his wealth of knowledge, and how professional and old school he always was, with his white coat and tie, promoting high standards of patient care. He has a living legacy in the physicians that have benefited from his wisdom and experience, and he's been so proud of all of their accomplishments. So I want to thank you, Lord, for sharing Dr. Rex with us. You used him to deposit an eternal measure of loving service in many needy lives. And for me, it was an honor and a privilege to work with him and share in his life. And as previously stated, God, well done, good and faithful servant, and my heartfelt condolences to his family. Thank you.
Karen was kind enough to grace me with an unusual task, and that's to try to keep all of these testimonials about our wonderful doctor to a limited amount of a few moments. So if I approach you as you're speaking, you'll know that I'm interested in you to discontinue. But I'm sure each of you that would like to speak will have an opportunity. We have several that we've arranged to come up and talk. Now I'd like to invite Dr. Bob McDonald to come to the mic and give us some words.
Well, I've known Rex for greater than 30 years. He was my partner, a mentor, and a friend. Even after he retired from the practice, for years and years he still came back. We reviewed cases, we looked at x-rays, he got samples for the fish clinic. I don't know if we really, how amazing he was as a doctor. I think it came across, but I got to tell you, when I got here, I was internal medicine, pulmonary critical care, and I was kind of shocked at the range of practice he did. He would treat ingrown toenails right there in the office, do a colonoscopy right there in the office. He gave chemotherapy, he put in pacemakers, he did it all. And it was pretty impressive. I was cutting skin lesions off when I first got here. I wouldn't consider the first 10 years here, I wasn't a pulmonologist, I was an internist. A lot of family practice skills too. So no, he was great. Unbelievable physician. And we're going to miss our collaboration. The one funny story, because in medicine, and he was old school, meaning he did stuff and repeated it the same way each time, whether he was interviewing a patient, doing a physical exam. And it is old school because it's disappearing, but you have to have repetition so you don't miss stuff. You want to do it the same way each time. So we started a sleep clinic. This young guy comes in, gets a consult from Dr. Baggett. I happen to be standing by the front desk when the guy comes kind of mad out the door. He goes, I came for a sleep study and he gave me a rectal. But that was, he wanted to do it the same way each time and do it right. I mean, the exam, it was just it was his style, and he was very good, and I'll always look up to him. Thank you.
Another one of Dr. Baggett's compatriots, Dr. Andrew Weed.
Hi, I'm Andrea Weed. I am one of the internists here in town, so I have the same training that Rex did, but could never live up to Rex. Rex was the only person that can make Dr. McDonald listen, which we always thanked him for. We would call Rex a silverback, and a silverback is a statesman physician that would actually help everyone and would, if you messed up, Rex would, tell you what you did wrong and you were expected to do right, and you listened because it was Rex. And so Rex had one of Karen's many horse accidents when I was looking to come out of my fellowship, and I remember that I was like, he was in the ICU basically, and he called me and he said, you need to come out here. And so that was back in 1994, and I've had the privilege ever since. Rex is an end of an era for me. I've been here for 28 years. He's the last of my mentors, and I will miss him, and I am so appreciative of everything I learned from him. And the fact that he can control Bob, which is just, I can't say enough about, because now I have to deal with Bob by myself, which is really going to be a problem. Please, Debbie, never divorce him, okay? That's all I ask. So anyways, just lovely, and I really appreciated when I first started being here as a 28-year-old by myself. I remember I was invited to Brandy's coronation when she was the queen of the Reno Rodeo, and Karen and Rex kind of took care of all of the young doctors and invited us to places and stuff like that. So it was lovely, and it's just been amazing being part of his life for 28 years. So he will be missed, but I know Karen and Brandy will still be out there, and I appreciate them very much.
You never know when you're going to need a physician. Andrew Lee doesn't remember, because she probably sees so many people, but my wife did a face plant on Washington Street when she tripped out of the shoe. Guess who stopped her car? Dr. Weed. We have several other people that we'd like to call up that are neighbors that saw Rex through many years, the good and the bad, and were close to him. So is there a Mr. Tallman nearby? Is that correct?
It was really a pleasure meeting Rex, his family, and moving here a number of years ago from Southern California. And I moved into the neighborhood 10 years ago, met Rex, Karen, and the other great neighbors living there. It's where Rex wanted to spend his time, and Karen, you made it possible for him to be home during his final years. So thanks for all you did for him to make him comfortable. It was not an easy task, but you did it with love and compassion. I know Rex loved the regular visits. My sons Rex and Todd, I'm getting a little emotional. His stepdaughter Brandy and her family. They really brought smiles to his face. And all the caregivers, they really loved him and cared for him and developed a relationship with him. We all have a gift, and Rex's gift was, what can I do to help you? That's what Rex was. Karen, you also have that gift. He was a cornerstone in our community, dedicating his life to providing medical care. And after retiring, generously dedicated another 15 years providing pro bono care at the Friends in Service Helping Clinic to Nevadans without the ability to pay for the medical care. And a thank you goes out to all the local healthcare providers who helped and continue to help care for these patients. Rex was also a long-standing member of Rotary, and he fit perfectly into the mission of uniting and taking action to create lasting change. Thank you to the Rotarians here for all you do for making our community a better place. Rex loved his family, including animals, God, medicine, patients, the USA, the Wolf Pack, the Sooners, and cold beer. That's where I come in. Our neighborhood has great well water, so I planted hops and started brewing beer. We enjoyed attending many beer festivals together. One time I told him beer was a health food drink, and I got that, "Are you crazy?" look. You know, I mean, if you've been the mentor to him in medicine, you got that at times. So I said, beer is a cereal grain beverage. We brew it with water, barley, hops, and yeast. It has carbohydrates and protein in it, and of course a little alcohol. He agreed, so we both took another swig of our cold, delicious cereal grain beverage. During his time convalescing at home, I would regularly bring a couple of frosted mugs of homebrewed beer over after dinner. He would smile and smack his lips like a little kid when I walked in the door in anticipation of drinking it. During his final weeks, when his eyes were closed during the visits, a touch of the frosty mug to his forearm would pop open his eyes and bring that contagious smile to his lips. I miss him. I think of him often, particularly when enjoying one more of those beers. I hope Rex's gift of what can I do to help you remains alive and continues to thrive in all of us. Thank you. God bless you, Rex, and God bless you.
Tommy, you should have given your address so people would know where to pick up the beer.
Across the street from Karen.
Karen will give it up. The other neighbor that would like to have an opportunity to talk is Tommy Lorenzo. I'm not pronouncing it right. Please come forward. I mispronounced the name, my apologies.
It's all right. San Lorenzo, good Italian name. My husband and I have only known Rex and Karen for about 5 years. We moved into the Monthal neighborhood. And it's been such a blessing. The neighbors are people that you can count on for anything. And we didn't know Rex and Karen very well, but we were invited into their home, as we were invited into all the neighbors' homes and made welcome. And that really handsome man right there sitting at the next table is the love of my life. And thanks to Rex, he's here with us today. My husband and I live on an incline, and our property is rather steep. And as my husband was hiking with our dog on our property in the neighborhood, he was getting short of breath, and he was getting chest pains. And he was calling Rex just for a referral to ask who he should go see. And before my husband could hang up, Rex said, "I'll be right there." My husband had no idea what was going on because we didn't know Dr. Rex, we knew Rex, our neighbor. So Rex pulled up in the car, told my husband to get in, and rushed him to Carson Tahoe Hospital. My husband still didn't know what was going on. He took him into Carson Tahoe Hospital, gave him the red carpet treatment, like he was royalty. And of course he was, because he was there with Rex. They admitted him 3 days later, as they kept him in emergency room, taking tests for his very erratic heart rhythm. When they did finally do surgery, he had 2 blocked arteries, 90% blocked in the major arteries of his heart. And thanks to Rex and his quick thinking and his good heart, that wonderful man will be with me for a really long time. So, God bless you, Rex. And I will always, always keep you in my prayers because you kept the love of my life at my side. Thank you.
We'd like to invite someone that knows Rex extremely well. Jim, if you come forward and give us some, all of you know Jim Beckham, I'm sure.
So I think that Pastor Bob summed it up really well. Rex was a gift from God that we received God's grace here in Carson City because of what he brought. I run the fish organization, the Ross Medical Clinic that Rex spent, I don't know, 17, 18, 20 years at. When Rex was there, we had about 1,000 patients. He was the only doctor. Bringing in, students from UNR, both from the nursing program as well as the medical program, they would all leave saying, "Hey, I finally got to do something with medicine as opposed to reading Cliff Notes and going through, lectures and things of that sort." So we made sure that they had hands-on things. I really relate to some things that Brandy said about the copy machine, because we did have somebody come in and said, "Hey, this piece of equipment that we're supposed to use doesn't work." And Rex says, "Oh yeah, if you put duct tape here, 2 pencils there, 1 out of 3 times it'll actually keep working the 7 hours it has to work in order to do what it does." And it's like, we give away free prescriptions. So the people that come to us are chronically ill, heart disease, lung disease, diabetes. With Rex, it was costing me like $200 a year. And I'm like, "Rex, how are you doing this?" "I got new doctors. It's costing me tens of thousands a year." It's like, what the heck? So he had a gift of being able to make things happen. He had relationships with Carson Tahoe, where we were able to get all of our blood tests done, all of our x-rays, everything else. Somebody would come in and a veteran or something that had an amputated leg or something, and says, "Let me get your leg." It's like, where do you get a leg from? But sure enough, within a couple of days, he'd have somebody fitting him for a leg. And somebody else comes with diabetes. "Well, let me get someone to come look at your eyes because I think you're, he'd have somebody come in and we had a dental chair. I finally started farming people out to dentists, but if there was a need, Rex found a way to make sure it got taken care of. And when I took over the organization, I didn't really pay much attention to the medical clinic because that was the only thing that was working when I got there. Everything else was kind of in need of help. And I remember we were kind of brainstorming. It's like, we ought to have a fundraiser and maybe celebrate somebody. And so we come up with this long agenda, and we thought, let's try this doctor we got at the clinic. So we decided to honor Rex, and we had to change everything on our agenda of what we planned on doing because doctor after doctor we decided to have an open mic. you can already tell what kind of problems that causes. But doctor after doctor kept talking about how they owed Rex so much for what he did in their lives to teach them to build their confidence or whatever. And there must have been 30 doctors coming to the mic, and we're like, okay, we got to scratch this, we're going to scratch that, scratch it. But that's when I really realized what kind of impact he had on the community and in the world of medicine as a whole. And I think the family did a great job of kind of going through all of that. But afterwards, I thought, you know, I can't, we had another event, and I knew he was going to be there, and I can't remember if it was his birthday or one of those times he was rumoring that he was going to retire again. I know he did that about 8 times. But I thought, what can we do to make this special? And we had little stickers made for everybody to you know, kind of honor Rex. And I got him this 3-foot-high trophy. And I thought, you know, we're going to make this look like a medicine kind of trophy as opposed to, you know, track or baseball, apparently. So Cy Young, apparently he's not. But I was just shocked. He was enthralled with that trophy. I mean, he was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, look in his eyes. And I thought, well, that was kind of a nice thing. It'll end up in the attic in a couple of days. So I don't know, maybe a year later, we went to a birthday party at his house. Right there in the middle of the living room on the dining room table, 3-foot-high trophy. I said, so you kind of like that? Yep. But Rex was, again, one of a kind. I pray that God makes more people like that for our community and other communities. He certainly was a pioneer to teach people that faith and love and patience, sometimes orneriness, can really make things to happen. And certainly the fish organization has been blessed by all the long hours that he spent there. And again, we thank him, we thank the family for the sacrifices, because I know that sometimes he should have been with them instead of whatever he was doing at the clinic. But he was definitely someone who made a huge impact in the region, and we were all blessed because of it. So, thank you.
Today we've heard so much about how Rex cared about family, and he had a large number of them. Many of them are here at the tables in front of us, and we'd like to offer an opportunity for 1 or 2 in line to come up and talk.
So I'm from California. I didn't really have the chance to know him as, Rex the doctor, like many of you did. He was always, Rex my grandpa, and really my earliest childhood memory. We're on a fishing trip, and he's teaching me how to bait the hook. We're throwing out the line, and it gets stuck in my sister Megan's hand. And he was just, he took so much joy from, always spending time with us. And I'm so blessed that I was able to spend a few of the last Baggett fishing trips with him. And I'm going to miss him very much. Yeah.
Megan, you're getting the call. Don't be bashful. I'll have to tell a story about Grandpa and myself if you do it. No. We can say this, that Rex was never boring. A number of us met with him for breakfasts and for lunches. And at our lunches, it's quite interesting. There were people my age, which we're looking back at the 70s, and now we're talking about the 80s. But one thing that we all had in common was that we couldn't hear well. And I still don't have partial hearing. But at any rate, we'd gather for lunch, and we'd start talking. And sometimes the word, if a person was an individual that might have been monogamous, and we thought they said monotonous. So there was a lot of discussion about those individuals, and we thought a person was maybe assuming, and we thought they said they had been assaulted. And we took a long time at those lunches correcting what we thought we heard. And other people had to explain what they really meant. But I think most of us who had hearing aids and didn't wear them and missed them or were broken. Enjoyed those conversations. It was a great opportunity to know Rex. Not that he wasn't boring, he was always happy, he was joyous, he was engaged, he was a wonderful individual. So we enjoyed him immensely on a personal basis as well as medical skills.
I have a different Rex story than everybody else does. In 1978, he became my doctor, and he told me what to do all the time. It was like he had to be my dad. And I kind of felt sorry for some of his kids and grandkids because he's not sometimes very nice about it. And so in 1991, he came to me. I was a manager of a branch bank in Carson, and he came in and he sat down on my desk and he says, "You need to join Rotary." And I said, "Good morning to you too." And he says, "No, I mean, you really need to. Look at the lobby is empty. And so you need to join Rotary so people will know who you are." And I said, is Rotary really that big of a deal? And he said, "Yes, you have to come to Rotary. In fact, stand up, we're going to lunch together." And I went to my very first Rotary meeting. I was only 21. It was like, these guys are all old people. So, and they were. And then the next time that he got on me was in 1998, and he said, "You need to be on the board of FISH." I said, "What's a FISH?" "It's Friends in Service Helping. I work there. You have to come help me." I go, "Help you do what?" And he said, "Run the FISH family." And it was like totally bizarre. But I did go to FISH. I did see what they were doing. I am so grateful that he did because I got to be part of something big and spent 6 years on the board. They had to kick me off. So he has been a force in my life several times where he has said, "You're going to do this." The last one that I want to share with you is that he said, "You need to be in Rotary and do the service of bringing in the foreign kids into Carson City." I said, "Why would I do that? I don't have any kids here. I don't have any kids. Why do I need kids?" And he said, "Because it'll be good for you." He said, "You don't travel enough, and you're going to go traveling with them because they're going to teach you their ways and their hopes and what their countries are like." And he was absolutely right. It was probably the best 8 years of my life that I had a service. I served having a foreign exchange student in my house for one at a time for 8 years. I had 8 students. I've been to Brazil. I've been to Germany. I've been to France. I've been to Italy, all in my own hometown. So he was a force in my life. He was amazing. I'm going to miss him.
I'm Dr. Jamie Wheeler, and Rex and I had this association. We would talk about cases and things. I taught with him at the University of Nevada in the medical school. For a while, I did clinical pathology, and he did internal medicine. I also did. Anyway, we had an association over a period of years, and he would fondly refer to us as a paradox, 2 doctors. Sorry about that. Anyway, Rex was a joy in my life and the strength that he radiated to everyone. Thank you, Rex.
We have the opportunity to have other friends that would like to speak on his behalf.
This is kind of a tribute to Rex and a roast to Karen. So Rex loved Karen, and all of you that know her and knew them, he truly loved her. A few years back, he planned a surprise party, all by himself, we thought. And so he made phone calls. He called me a few times just to make sure. And I don't know, probably you old Furley people would know, but have you ever been able to keep a secret from Karen Baggett? I mean, it's just... It ain't gonna happen. So a few days before the party, Karen gave me a call and she said, "Gay, are you coming to my surprise birthday party?" And that's just who they were. Rex loved her and she knew it all.
I never speak at these things. Hi, my name is Melissa. I was one of his, of a huge crowd, a group, his team of people that helped take care of him towards the end. I was his nurse with Eden Hospice. A little closer? Okay. So, in meeting him, I've been a nurse for over 20 years in critical care, and of course he had to tell me that my assessment was completely wrong and that I didn't know how to do a blood pressure, so, but okay, this is gonna be fun. But what I thought was really interesting was as I got to know him and in speaking with the physicians that are with Eden, is that it turns out that Rex was one of their professors, and then one of those, that doctor, turns out that she was the mentor to one of our other physicians, and then it came full circle that they and we got to then take care of him. So I just always thought that was very special. They couldn't be here today, but he definitely holds a very special place in their hearts. So thank you so much for hiring us and allowing us to be a part of it. Thank you.
Our wonderful mayor. I enjoyed a lot of time with Jim and not as much with Lori because I don't want to tell her I think that the city should be run. It's just not appropriate.
Yeah, there you go. But he tells me every day.
But
No,
I talked to Jim to tell you that.
yeah, there you go.
I got to adjust that for you.
There you go. Thank you. I just thought that as mayor, it's important to remember great people. So we should all lift a glass and proclaim Rex Baggett Day, right? A day in remembrance. It's important. He was a great man for Carson City. So I wanted to share that with everyone. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Jenny Scanlon. It used to be Jenny Heisinger Scanlon. And the reason why I say that is 25 years ago, I started working, well, it was before that actually, for the U.S. Forest Service, and I met this woman named Karen Baggett. And when I moved over here to Carson City, I started dating this fella, and he brought me here. He was not a Rotarian, though. He was a Kiwanian. And I met this man. He's fabulous, you know, Dr. Rex. And I thought, what is your real name? He said, I'm Dr. Rex Baggett. I said, oh, do you know Karen Baggett? And that was pretty funny, you know, I was like, oh my gosh. So here we are almost 30 years later, and I have to tell two things. One, my first mission trip was down through Mexico, and I said, we need diabetic stuff. We need anything we can get, because they have nothing down there. And Rex said, come over to the clinic. So I walked over to the clinic, and he said, come in here. And we ran up in there, and this was probably 20 years ago. And I had a box sitting here, and all of a sudden he gets up on this ladder, and I'm looking down at the box, and all of a sudden something hits me in the head. And it just keeps coming. He's up on the top of the shelf, just throwing stuff behind him like this. And we got everything that was out of date. And I ended up with 2 trash bags full of diabetic stuff to take down to Mexico. It was just so fabulous. And I'll never forget, he would always look at me and he'd say, hi, Jenny. And he would just look right in your eyes. You know, it was just so wonderful. And I was one of those bad people who, I didn't go to the clinic to see him. I'd pull him to the side at church and say, what's wrong with my ear? You know, so I was one of those too. But Karen, it's so great to see you and everybody again. And Rex was wonderful. We will love him forever.
Thank you. I'm Roger Mers, and a member of the church, and also a member of a group that meets every Wednesday and Thursday morning. And I say that because that's where I met Rex. We study God's Word, and we study about how to be a better Christian. And it was a great honor to meet Rex there and get to know him personally. And I'll give you a couple little tidbits of how he treated me. One day I told him at breakfast that I was a little dizzy when I laid down, trying to change oil in my car or something. And he said, I can take care of that. So he says, after church, you get with me and we'll go over to the library and I'll fix it. I said, okay. So I went to the library, and Rex comes in there and he says, okay, sit on the table. I sat down. He says, okay, put your head this way, put your head that way. Went through all these calisthenics and everything, but because I had little things in my ear, I guess, that weren't balanced right. And when I got done, I felt just great. And I said, that was wonderful. Thank you. And that's the kind of man Vex was, that he would help anyone he could, in any way he could. The other thing I would mention is that my wife, who can't be here, Carolyn, has been suffering with some illnesses. And one day, Rex and Lynn Hunter came over to visit her, and just went over all her medications and had a great deal of compassion and tried to help her in any way he could. And she suffers from COPD and some breathing lung problems. And he had this little thing that the doctors would know what this is. I don't know what it's called, but I call it a little flutter valve that you blow in, it goes, and that really helps break up the congestion in your lungs. And he just gave it to her, and it helped a great deal. And he was always concerned about her and wondering how she was doing. And he would always be reaching out to her. I have a verse from Scripture that I think describes Rex very well. It's from Colossians chapter 3, verse 12. And so, as those who have been chosen of God, and I believe Rex was a chosen of God person, holy and beloved, and Rex was certainly holy and beloved, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. I think that describes Rex very well, those that know him, and what I've heard people talk of him today. And one more thing I'd like to add is that my wife went to a new doctor, and he's a concierge doctor. Many of you may know what a concierge doctor is, but a concierge doctor is someone who only has about 500 patients, and you pay a little extra to him, but he will see you anytime and you can talk to him 24/7 on the phone, even on weekends when he's out hiking, which we've done. And the first day we went in there, we're sitting down and, here's a doctor from Carson. I've only been in Carson I think I've known Rex about 8 years. I've been in Carson City about 14 years. And going in there in the doctor's office, and I said, do you know a Dr. Rex Baggett? And he perked up and he looked at me and he said, Rex Baggett. Now this doctor's name is Dr. B. Bottenberg, if any of you know him. And Dr. Bottenberg said, if you get a chance to say anything, I want you to say something to your group. Rex Baggett was like a mentor to me. He taught me how to work with a patient. He says, I want my practice to model Rex Baggett, and that's what he's tried to do, because he will spend as much time with you as you need. He's on call 24/7, and it's the only way doctors can do that today. So I just wanted to pass that along, that Dr. Bottenberg wishes he could be here. Unfortunately, he's in Denver today. So thank you, and God bless you, Rex.
I doubt that there's a little more that could be said, but here's an opportunity if any of you would like to come up. But Karen, maybe you'd like to say a remark or two about how many people have been gracious in the care and the gift that Rex has given us. And I thank the Baggett family, your relatives who are here. I've known some of your relatives in the long past. They were always people I never wanted to argue with. They were big like you. And I don't know if the Jensens are the same way, but they were wonderful people that I knew.
Dr. Baggett, as a doctor and me as a patient, came under unusual circumstances. I was a teacher at Carson High School teaching math, and we were coming to the end of the school year in which tests were gonna come out, I'd have to figure out grades and what have you, and I was just walking around the area on my break, and I knew teachers went to the nurse to have their blood pressure checked. Well, I'd never done that, and I thought, well, I'll just go down and have it checked. So I went to the nurse's office, and she took my blood pressure, and I got up to go, and she said, "You're not going anywhere." She called an ambulance. And they rushed me to the hospital. I didn't notice anything wrong. But I went to the hospital, and Dr. O'Shaughnessy was my primary doctor, and he was there, and the heart monitor that you see, it was going crazy. And Dr. O'Shaughnessy saw Dr. Baggett in the hospital, and he said, "Rex, would you take on Dwayne as a patient? Because I'm not really a heart man, and I know you know about hearts." So Dr. Baggett said he would do that. That was the first time we'd met as a doctor-patient. And he came in, and something you said about him wanting to teach all of a sudden hit me there, because what he did was he put a chair near my bed. He had a screen in front of him, and I knew this was a teaching moment, and he knew it was a teaching moment, because here's his student flat on his back, and he's got this thing that he's putting here and looking at the screen, and he went through everything my heart was doing, arteries, valves, explaining it all. I had a medical lesson right there. I learned more about my heart than I ever knew. And when he got all done, he said, "Dwayne, your heart's fine. It's stress, and we really, as doctors, do not know what effect stress has on the human body." And I was certainly relieved. But then we became Christian brothers here in church, and we loved to banter, and that twinkle in his eye. He always had that twinkle in his eye, but he loved to banter with me. And he was just a very, very special man. And he appreciated what other people did. He did so much, but he appreciated what other people did. And time again, my wife and I received card of thanks for any little simple thing we did for the church. And he certainly will be missed, and I thank you that it was my friend, my doctor, not my primary doctor, but my doctor. Thank you.
The hour is getting late, and we've enjoyed. Here's one more. Okay, great, wonderful.
My name is Ann Johnson. I've been going here since 1999, so I've known Rex for a long time. Never had him as a doctor. But I have to ask, how many people in this room donated a bra? Come on, some people have to remember this story. There we go, okay. But I think, and I'm not a great storyteller, but I think it was about 10 years ago, he walked in down the main aisle at the start of church with his bucket in one hand and with this huge bra in the other hand. And they were doing a drive for bra and ladies' undergarments that they were collecting for Rotary, I believe it was, and they were shipping them off to Africa. And I thought of that this morning when I was getting ready to come here, and it was just typified what Rex was always up to. So just wanted to see who else could remember that story as well.
Thank you very much, and I know that Rex is treating people. Did you want to go up? Come on up, Pastor. Oh, okay. Rex is probably treating people wherever he is right now. We suppose that in heaven that there's no one to be treated there because we'll all be renewed and in good health. But he'll probably be talking about what they enjoyed on earth and what he could have done for them. He's done so much for all of us, and he certainly has been a great friend and a mentor to many. I asked Lynn earlier, because I was going to give a short talk about a young man that he had mentored here, who has become a doctor. He's now at Tulane University in New Orleans. Dr. Baggett gave him one of his old doctor bags. He still has it. He remembers Dr. Baggett for a very particular thing that you've heard so much about here. That at the Ross Clinic, they didn't have computerized equipment. They didn't have probably laptops in front of every person. They probably didn't have a lab test available. But here came people that were without financial ability. Here were people that were poor with no conscious need about their health and didn't take care of themselves. And he would sit down with them, engage with them, palpitate them. He would know that they had this condition or that condition, and he did all his work without modern technology and equipment, which was to the amazement of this young student who he mentored, who is now in postgraduate schools and wants to become a medical teacher himself. So what Rex gave to many, many students, and when I asked Lynn how many had passed before him, there were hundreds of students that he encouraged, and many of them have become physicians in the community themselves, as this young man will be, not in our community. So here was a real carry forward moment, and a person in Rex Baggett may be blessed always.
Hi, I apologize, but I have one more. A lot of you knew Colin Song, who was an internist here in Carson and worked with Rex, and they were partners. And he texted me and said he was on a cruise for 55 days. I don't know how he can manage that, but anyway. And so he wanted me to, thank you. He wanted me to pass along what he did. So he said it was an internship in 1967, a hot August day, on a non-air-conditioned 3B at the University of Oklahoma hospitals. Rex was my chief resident in internal medicine and later gastroenterology fellow over the next 4 years. He's the one that brought the GI endoscopy back to the 112-bed Carson Tahoe Hospital. After Vietnam, I joined Rex, Jack Harper, and Hank Davis at Matt Medical Center, where we practiced medicine in the capital town of 17,000. The years of association, friendship, and aging with Rex seem to have passed in a flash. But as interesting and fulfilling as medical practice of medicine was with him, this is what sticks in my memory. With Rex, the best times I remember were when I was a physician to him or when he was a physician to me. In 2009, my wife Nancy was suffering in her last months of life. I struggled as only a spouse can, and with the incessant pain and anguish that came with feeling so very helpless, it would be Rex that would come by and see what he could do. It was in his presence, warmth, touch, and smile, which beyond any words communicated understanding, reassurance, and comfort. So those of you privileged to know him and his kindness and friendship understand, as I do, what really made him a physician's physician. Colin, thank you.
Thank you, Karen, for that closure. It's certainly an outstanding person that we've all come to celebrate, and we thank you all, and we hope you have a good evening.